Part 53. The next murder was solved, and then the emperor decreed down to punish Mother. The sound of footsteps outside the hall woke up concubine Luo, who was leaning on the couch and sleeping for a night. She saw Ming Ruo enter the house with a red face and panting. She didn't even have the heart to reprimand, and hurriedly stood up and said, "How is it? Is here news from the hunting grounds?" "Yes," Ming Ruo cried with a sad face. Just looking at her expression, Shu Ruolan's heart couldn't help but sink, and asked in a deep voice, "Then, no chance at all?" Ming Ruo shook her head and said softly, "Mother, concubine Wen's horse was indeed passive, and when he went out with a few eunuchs to relax the next day, the horse was also frightened, and it was originally. Everything was as mother wanted, and the crazy horse took concubine Wen to the river, but unexpectedly, the emperor arrived at the last moment and saved concubine Wen, and even in order to protect concubine Wen, the emperor seriously injured." "What?" Shu Ruolan's eyes widened suddenly, and her body couldn't help but tremble, and she asked tremblingly for a long time, What's going on? When concubine Wen had an accident, was he with the emperor?" Ming Ruo shook her head, thinking that if that was the case, she was afraid that the emperor would be able to save concubine Wen mother as soon as possible. Where would he be driven to the river by crazy horse? As soon as I thought of this, I couldn't help but have an ominous premonition in my heart, and secretly said that things were going well, but who knew that it fell short at the last moment? Could it be? Is it true that even God refuses to help mother, and even God is on concubine Wen's side? What's going on? Tell me the matter quickly." The body was suddenly shaken violently, and when Ming Ruo came back to her senses, she saw Shu Ruolan's hideous face, completely losing the peerless elegance of Su Ri, because of extreme disappointment, anger and fear. The facial features were even distorted, like a demon crawling out of hell. Ming Ruo was so frightened that she shuddered, and involuntarily knelt down, crying, "Back to mother." Concubine Wen mother was not with the emperor originally, but the emperor was halfway through the hunt, and suddenly returned to the tent, knowing that concubine Wen went out to relax. He chased after him alone, and happened to meet concubine Wen's horse Crazy, and the emperor desperately chased after him, and at the last moment, he picked up concubine Wen, and the two fell into the river together. For fear that concubine Wen would be hurt, he protected concubine Wen, but he was hit by the ice and rocks in the river and was bruised all over his body. The most serious injury was in the back, and the bone was visible. "Enough. Don't say any more," Shu Ruolan yelled violently, and then her body shook twice, and she almost sat on the ground, but fortunately, Ming Ruo's eyes were quick, and she hurriedly supported her. "Your Majesty." He took that man so seriously that he didn't even care about his own life in order to save him. Hee. Ha ha ha. Shu Ruolan suddenly burst out laughing with tears on her face, and then walked to the side of the couch in despair, muttering, "I lost, hee, how can I not lose? Ha ha ha, what if the man died? I'm afraid that the emperor will no longer be the emperor, ha ha ha." Ming Ruo watched her master stagger, and hurriedly stepped forward to continue to support her, but was thrown away by concubine Luo, only to hear her say indifferently, "Don't worry about me. When the holy decree comes, come and call me again." Listening to the master's cold and desperate words, Ming Ruo's heart was cold. Will I be in a hurry to go back to Beijing today? The emperor's injuries have not completely healed. In the luxurious big tent, Pu Qiutai sat on the edge of Xia Linxuan's bed, a rare orange peel for His Majesty Emperor, while softly wanting Xia Linxuan to dispel his mind. Before he finished speaking, he heard the other party say in a deep voice, although the injury is not all healed. It will not affect the action. If you wait for all to be healed, how can it be done without a month? I can't wait that much time. The harem is so smoky, I must go back to rectify it quickly. Otherwise the concubines are sinister, and the news of my injury has not been hidden. Once I go back late, who knows what kind of trouble can happen in the court. Pu Qiutai's hand peeling oranges paused, and after a while, he said lightly, "How dare you be a ghost in the harem? Isn't the death of mother concubine Yan enough to deter her? Maybe it's just a coincidence that the horse is frightened." Xia Linxuan snorted coldly and said, "Your horses are all carefully selected. How can you be easily frightened? This is clearly someone who has been manipulated." Before he finished speaking, he heard Xiao Beiji's voice sound outside. "Your Majesty, Lord Jing asks to see you." Oh? Xia Linxuan's eyebrows raised and looked at Pu Qiutai. It seems that there is a result. Tisk. 3 days have passed, and the efficiency of Royal Dark Guard really needs to be improved. It's already very good when the horse fell into the river and there were no bones. I don't even know why it was frightened. Just like that, Royal Dark Guard found out the eyebrows in 3 days. What else do you want? Pu Qiutai put the orange in Xia Linxuan's hand. And when he saw Jing Shang coming in, he sat on the bedside chair, quietly watched the other party salute, and began to report the results of the investigation. "Your Majesty Emperor." Because the horse that concubine Wen rode had fallen into the river, the minister couldn't know why the horse was frightened. So he had to control all the eunuchs who served beside the groom for mother, and finally got a few clues with some small means. Just say the result, and if there is no result, continue to roll to investigate. Xia Linxuan yelled angrily, so Jing Shang didn't dare to be verbose, and hurriedly bowed down and said, "Yes, Your Majesty Emperor." The reason why concubine Wen's horse was frightened was because a little eunuch named Cao Sanner next to the emperor was in charge of the night patrol, and when he was patrolling the horse shed, he deliberately put a medicine in the trough grass of the horse ridden by concubine Wen. This medicine will not have any consequences under normal circumstances. But once the horse eats a wild vegetable called desmodium, it will be crazy. It's such a surprising tactic again. Before Jing Shang finished speaking, Xia Linxuan already understood the general situation of the matter, and because he frowned and interrupted Jing Shang's words, he muttered in confusion, "Why desmodium? Why do horses go berserk when they eat such things? What's the point about that?" Jing Shang said, "Back to the emperor, mother concubine Wen's holy family is generous. This hunting ground trip, it must be the emperor's guards are surrounded by him, so once the horses go crazy, it is easy to be restrained. But the desmodium is a very low creature that grows on the surface of the earth, and is only occasionally eaten by horses when they are strolling leisurely. Thinking about this is the effect demanded by the people behind the scenes. Imagine that the horses are strolling leisurely, suddenly go crazy. Mother concubine Wen's riding skills are not perfect, and if he is caught off guard, it is easy to have an accident. Even if the emperor and the guards are on the side, I am afraid that it will be difficult to help in time." Jing Shang's words were interrupted again, and he saw the bedridden emperor bang on the edge of the bed, and roared angrily, "What a bold man, so careful thinking. Who is behind the scenes?" Jing Shang hurriedly said. Then Cao Sanner was bribed with a lot of money, and he didn't know who was the person who arranged the task with him. The other party also covered his face, but the emperor. The minister asked to forgive this minister for a few more days, and the minister will follow the vine and touch the melon. And the mastermind behind the assassination of mother will be investigated. "Okay, I'll give you another 3 days." Xia Linxuan said in a deep voice, "I have already passed the decree, and I will leave for the palace tomorrow." I'm afraid that this matter still involves people in the harem, and I give you the right to act cheaply, but if there is anything suspicious, you can ask for cooperation, that is, the Queen Mother and Your Majesty can't. Jing Shang was shocked when he heard it, so he heard Pu Qiutai, who had never opened his mouth, stop him. He couldn't help but be a little surprised, and secretly looked at it from the corner of his eye, only to see the other party stern. Your Majesty, how important is the matter of the harem? If your order comes out, I am afraid that the government and the opposition will be in an uproar, which will damage the reputation of the emperor. And the ministers will not want to bear the name of this charming king's heart. Xia Linxuan smiled slightly. Don't worry, Qiutai, although I have given power to Jing Shang. I am just afraid that there will be a high-powered person who will secretly obstruct the case. He has been the commander of the Chunyi Guard for more than 10 years. So he will naturally grasp the proportions of this kind of thing and will not make a mess out of control. Pu Qiutai wanted to say more, but he listened from Jing Shang saying, yes. The minister must be careful to verify and live up to the emperor's trust. Mother, just now Eunuch Bei sent someone to report, saying that the mastermind behind the previous murder of Mother has been found out. In the Yunhai Palace. Pu Qiutai was directing the palace maids and eunuchs to take out the books in the study to dry, and suddenly saw the Honglian hurriedly walk in, and as soon as she opened her mouth, he was shocked. Who is it? Not to mention Pu Qiutai's concern about this issue. Even Zhu Mingfang and Zhu Shanyan's sisters and brothers. And even the Crown Prince Sha Dongming and the Second Highness Sha Dongqing are also very concerned. Yes, concubine Luo, Honglian sighed, and secretly said that this is good. The queen passed away last year, and concubine Yan died more than 2 months ago because of the murder of Mother's car punishment, and now it is concubine Luo's turn. And this harem has been respected by concubine Wen since then. Really, how much can't you think about it? Knowing that the emperor regards Mother as the root of his life. But she still has to get rid of Mother and then hurry up, thinking that she has a long life? Okay, sure enough, it's her. I said that none of the harem concubines in this harem have good things. And they all harbor evil intentions. Before Pu Qiutai could react, he saw Sha Dongming jump up from the chair suddenly, and said with a sneer, concubine Yan's car cracked and died. This concubine Luo can't wait to follow in her footsteps. I don't know what punishment my father will give her this time. The Shu family is also finished. Deserves it. My uncle has long said that their family is favored by concubine Luo, but they are domineering. Honglian, has the emperor decreed? As soon as Eunuch Bei knew the news, he ordered someone to come and inform him, and the emperor shouldn't have had time to give an order, but it's probably soon. After Honglian finished speaking, she saw Pu Qiutai stand up and said in a deep voice, change my clothes for me, I want to go to the heart cultivation palace. Mother, do you want to persuade the emperor to let concubine Luo go? The emperor will not listen to your persuasion. Before in the hunting ground, the emperor was already angry. Honglian is really worthy of the master's intimate little padded jacket. And I guessed Pu Qiutai's plan at once. I have a point. Pu Qiutai frowned, hurriedly changed his clothes, and came to the heart cultivation palace. As soon as I entered the gate, I saw a eunuch holding the holy decree of the emperor, and was coming to the door surrounded by several little eunuchs. Get up! Is this a holy decree to be sent to the Yinyu Palace? Pu Qiutai waved his hand, and the eunuchs got up, and when they heard him ask, they hurriedly replied, yes. Wait here. I'll go in and talk to the emperor. After Pu Qiutai finished speaking, he hurriedly went up the steps, and the remaining eunuchs looked at each other. What happened to the secret road? Concubine Wen won't be interceding for concubine Luo, right? Ouch, that's stupid, isn't it? This harem is where you live and die, and now you almost let your family die. And you still have to help intercede? Do you think concubine Luo will be grateful? Xia Linxuan just issued an order and gave concubine Luo Shu Ruo Lan the punishment of car-splitting. The Shu family, like the Li family, won the title for the people, and Shu's father sent Liaodong. Even so, His Majesty Emperor was still angry, and reached out to stroke his back, where the wound had begun to heal. Painful and itchy, he put down his hand, suddenly punched the royal case, and said viciously, "You're not afraid of death, are you? Aren't you afraid of the punishment of car-splitting? Well, I will be as you wish." Xiao Beiji was waiting on the side, and he didn't dare to say a word. Here Xia Linxuan finished getting angry, but he never felt the slightest relaxation in his heart. He knew too well the bloodshed of the harem, and thought that the queen was the most noble woman in the harem that day, and she was killed. And Pu Qiutai is now favored by 3,000. What a beautiful scenery. These women in the harem don't know how much to be jealous. Once they lose their minds because of jealousy, no amount of blood and life can deter them. Isn't concubine Luo a living example? Concubine Yan died less than 3 months ago, and she followed in the footsteps of the other party.